Golf Central on YouTube, brought to you by TaylorMade.
Definitely, obviously you gotta always putt it well, but it's kind of, I feel like it's a pretty good second shot golf course. There's some good holes out here, especially today. It was a little breezy. A couple holes like number 9 was playing really tough. I hit 3-iron into number 9 to that back right pin, which is, it's tough. It's not easy to hit 3-iron into that. You'd much rather like a 7, but I hit the ball really well on the approach shots, and that helped a lot.
I really like these greens. I've always liked bent grass greens. Growing up in Arizona, I grew up on kind of slow Bermuda, grainy Bermuda, and so it was always a treat to get to play bent. And so when I get good greens like this that roll smooth, it feels like the ball's hugging the ground for a long time. I get excited, so because I know I'm starting it on my line, and it's easier for me to get a good feel. So I think I started out the week with confidence in my putting, and I'm going to go do some work in a little bit and maintain that and just kind of keep it rolling.
And hopefully tomorrow with.
There was a discussion in here about how you got into the tournament. How did you?
I got a phone call from Hollis on Monday morning asking if I wanted to play. I think he had given Tim Herron a sponsor exemption. Tim got in on his number, and then that opened up an exemption. So Hollis called me Monday morning. I was actually ready to get on my tractor and go mow the fields.
Where were you?
At home.
Where's that?
North Carolina, just outside Charlotte.
That surprised you, or?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise, obviously, and I'm very grateful to Hollis.
You've played only once before this year, correct? How have you stayed sharp?
I haven't. It was 2 hands on the wheel all day today. I just managed to get it round. To be honest, I'm not sharp at all, but it was a pleasant surprise.
Your 5th start back since the resumption of play. You missed the first 3 cuts. How have you tried to get back into that playing mode after the hiatus for all of us?
I felt like I was pretty ready to go into those first 3, and just, the game just kind of wasn't there. It was close, but it wasn't there, so took a couple weeks off to kind of figure things out before the Memorial last week, and I felt like I was close there with quite a few things, but just didn't quite click, and then had a few days of practice here to kind of narrow that down to what I feel like I really needed to do, and just felt a lot more comfortable today with the driver, with irons into greens. Again, a couple nice shots into par 5s with fairway woods. I've kind of been struggling in that department, so it's just kind of all the little things just kind of started working a little bit better today, and just kind of added up to lots of great scoring opportunities.
I think that there was a lot of times that I was walking through shots in my head that I hit last year, and I was in the same spot as I was today as I was last year, and so I knew how the shots that I hit, and just that comfortability of being out here, knowing that you've already hit the shot before and that you've had a lot of success, and it just kind of carried over into today.
So it was 6 under par in the opening round for the first time in Matthew Wolff's PGA Tour career. Compare that to 5 over par in the opening round at the Memorial Tournament last week. He obviously enjoys being back at a golf course where he can remember what he did last year.
He does. He enjoys being on the mic. I don't know that I could play with a mic on, because I don't think I could be natural. I think it'd be not as free-flowing, but it's always tough to defend. You come back, you put that extra pressure on yourself, but he used it in the proper manner. He went out there and said, hey, I had this shot before. I know how to handle it. I know how to play the golf course. He knows how to get around it. It was interesting on the 15th hole, he hit it way down the left side in the rough. It might have been in the rough, but he says, I've only got 70, 80 yards from there. I can make birdie from there. So he knows the approach, where he can be aggressive. He did a nice job today, rotating a little bit better through the ball. That's what he was working on his golf swing. But overall, a really good start for him.
A lot of chatter between him and his caddy. He seemed very comfortable. Don't forget, he was mic'd up for the TaylorMade driving relief match, so he had a bit of experience with that. You can see he hit 17 of 18 greens in regulation today, and that change he's made since last week, well, there's been a caddy switch. He has split with his longtime looper, Greg Bodine. The two had been together since Finau's rookie year on the PGA Tour. That was 2014-15 season, and here he is, after the round today, explaining the reason for the switch.
I think my caddy and I had a great run. We were together for 6 years, and it's a tough thing. On a personal level, love the guy, and on a business level, I just felt like it was time for a change in my situation, and and something just different. So unfortunately, that relationship, business-wise, has ended. But I look forward to getting somebody on the bag and making another great run.
Obviously, you and Boyd are close. What was it like having him on the bag today?
Yeah, it was great. You know, like you mentioned, we're very close, and no hard feelings, no matter what. And that's good. I think that's a good dynamic to have when you're out there. You know, I didn't have him say too much. I know I'm playing well, and for the most part, just bring him in when I want him.
He's one of the longest hitters on the PGA Tour. We know that. So therefore, the wedges.
You hit them a lot of times. So
right.
You should. That's the thing I always didn't understand. Guys that hit it for that far, they didn't work on it. We like to practice what we're good at, and not sometimes what we need to work on it. But for those guys that have the distance, that's where you should do it, and that's what he's done. That's what the top players have done. Tiger did the same thing when he first came out.
And another interesting point when you compare his performance today to what he did last week, the conditions over the weekend last week were incredibly tough, being likened to a US Open setup at Jack's Place. So the greens this week must feel a lot more receptive and perhaps more scoreable.
I think so. I think last week, the last 27 holes just kind of got away from him, but he always takes that half-full approach. You know, he tried to learn from those situations, and that's a great approach. But as you said, when you finish second 6 times and all these top 10s, you haven't quite got that win. I don't care who you are. You want to win. You made the caddy switch. Nobody likes to make a caddy switch, but maybe he needed somebody different. But I think the big thing for him this week's got his instructor out there. It's going to be a great experience for his instructor and him to kind of learn what's going on during the tournament, how he's thinking, how he's playing in those situations. It's a great learning week for him. It's just temporary with Boyd on the bag.
Yeah, he said he is searching for a long-time solution for the caddy. So Greg Bodie no longer when it comes to Tony Finau. Interesting point, by the way. No one has ever won another PGA Tour event after winning the Puerto Rico Open, which is Tony's only PGA Tour win on his resume.
He wants to break that.
He wants to break that, and I'm sure Victor Hovland might have something to say about that as well. Victor won the event this year.
He will.
It's hard to imagine neither of them winning again on the PGA Tour. So Tony Finau putting himself in contention once again.
First and foremost, how is your health?
It's very good, thank you. It's I tested positive for the antibodies and negative for the virus. So kind of trying to, put that to bed, get past it, and hopefully play some nice golf after coming down with that. So like I said, it's great to be up here after playing a good round as opposed to just other things.
Yes, and some of those other things we do have to ask you about. What was it like being the first player in the process thereafter of having to stay in South Carolina for nearly 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was. I haven't really found the proper way to describe being the first guy. It was. I felt like I was being cautious and careful, and to end up with it was surprising, I guess. But and then the isolation, the quarantine was kind of like Groundhog Day. I mean, just inside, a lot of pacing around and such. But I guess it was we're in a pandemic, and it's I'm glad to be on the other side of it.
And we're glad to see him on the other side of it as well. And talking about him because of his good play today. 6 under par, bogey-free round, 3 birdies on the front, 3 birdies on the back, and a 5-time PGA Tour winner is looking to win for the first time since 2012 when he triumphed at the Northern Trust. 2 starts ago, he won the Travelers' Championship. At Muirfield Village last week, he shot back-to-back rounds of 80 to miss the cut. Said his game weirdly actually felt good, but the iron play was an issue. Today, in his first round since, it was a 7 over par 78, and you can see all those squares, bogeys, double bogeys, the quad at 18, 2 birdies on the card as well. Let's show you his highest score to par in his PGA Tour career, and you take a look at 3 consecutive rounds that he has had recently with that 80, 80, 78. It's the highest he's ever had by a couple, and in 12 years. He hasn't been anywhere near this kind of number since 2008. So certainly a bizarre stretch of form for Dustin Johnson. Ryan Lavner actually broke the news on Twitter earlier today. One of our senior writers from golfchannel.com, he said back tightness did lead to DJ's withdrawal today at the 3M Open, but after rest and treatment, he definitely plans to play the next 2 weeks, which is the WGC in Memphis and the PGA Championship. That was confirmed by his manager.